So thanks, Eric. And I got to tell you, as a sub-regional DMCC, we're not quite the same. We're a little more rural, but part of our whole operation is establishing that contact between our group and like the regional group. And it really struck me when she made that comment about somebody calling in, saying something about having a major event and the nurse answering the phone and saying thank you and hanging up. You know, because that literally just happened to us a week or so ago. So this is a couple of shots that I sent up here to include in the slide presentation. The entrance to our emergency department looks like most every other emergency department around the region. And many times that's our first notification that we have a major event is when the ambulance pulls into that driveway. So that's one of the things that DMCC helps with. We're establishing better communication links with our pre-hospital providers, and we're establishing better communication links with the other hospitals in our area. So our sub-region is the 4 counties in the southern part of Region 9 or East Region. And there's 5 hospitals there, but we've kind of expanded out a little bit and reached across the border to Whitman Hospital in Moscow, Idaho, Latah County, and to St. Joseph's Regional Medical Center down in Lewiston, Idaho. And the importance of that is that, you know, within that 4-city region, you know, we've got about 100,000 people. So, you know, that makes a big difference. And there's a lot of resources, medical resources that are available to us just a few miles away as opposed to an hour away or 60 or 70 miles. So doing this whole DMCC process has allowed us to establish better communication links with these other facilities. Are we perfect? No, we're not. Have we improved? We've improved a lot, but we definitely have a long ways to go also. And it's a continual process. You don't just do it and put it away. You do it, and then you learn from what you've done. You make some changes. You get it out and use it again and find out that works and that doesn't. So it's quite a process. And right now we're in a new learning process because we've got some new players both inside and outside the hospital in our region. Our DMCC crew 24/7 is staffed by primarily 3 people in the hospital: our clinical coordinator or house supervisor. In some facilities, they're called a house supervisor. Our ED charge nurse, and then the ED registration person. All these positions are filled 24/7, and if they were to activate, then they would backfill with staff from other parts of the hospital to fill their position, or they would call staff in to fill the position. So it works pretty well. We've never had an activation, though there's probably been a couple of times when we could have. One of the things is that our bar is going to be a little bit lower than it is in this more urban area up here. So, you know, put a highway out there and have a half a dozen patients, that's probably qualifying for an activation of this. We haven't. We maybe should have. In the last year, the only time we've done anything is we had an incident advisory just recently for the WSU Boise State football game. The reason we do that is to help to share information with all the hospitals in the Quad Cities down there. And it doesn't seem like a big thing, but when we have a football game like this particular one, and it's a big rivalry type of thing, we're essentially putting the entire population of the city of Pullman, or 75% of the population of Whitman County, in one facility. So we do incident advisories just to kind of get everybody on the same page. And we send these out to the local law enforcement and pre-hospital providers and to the other hospitals in our area. So that's a good tool. It's a good communication tool, I think. Our future plans, we're hoping to do some additional training this coming year. I've got some staff in the hospital and some staff from other facilities that need to do some work with both WATRAC and the DMCC. And these are ongoing, you know, because there's staff turnover and things change with the different programs that we have. And so it's important that we continually do those trainings, update. Our exercises and purpose. raise awareness. Yeah, I jumped back onto yours. Yeah. So that's essentially what we're doing with our program in the southern part of the region. And I think the real advantage is that it localizes it a little bit for our group of people down there, and then it also helps us to be a connection to the regional facility. So, any questions, additions? Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. So here's the really exciting thing about this work that you're hearing about today. 2 weeks ago, we got the process for 2 weeks of painting our office, which means that we had to move everything away from the walls, which means we found a whole lot of stuff that we didn't know we had. And in that stuff that I didn't know that I had was a stack of after action reports that I just gave to Travis, that as I look around the room, Daryl and I and probably a few other of you were probably involved in every one of those. But in every one of those after action reports, this role is brought up as an area for needing improvement. It's disaster medical coordination, it's patient placement, it's information sharing amongst healthcare facilities. And we've done a lot of work over the last 13 years, as Eric kind of brought up earlier. But that work continues, and I think both Eric and Bill both mentioned this is a continual quality improvement process. So we've come a long ways in the last 12 months, but in that 12 months of growth, we've also identified a lot of areas where we still need to continue to grow. So this work is continually ongoing. We're always looking to make it better. We're always looking to integrate it more with the hospitals. And what you probably hear in this conversation is around hospital placement. But if you really look at a large scale event where hospitals are full, this process is going to look at different places to put patients. And it may not have to be hospitals. We may have to look at clinics and other facilities to house patients because there's no rooms in the hospitals anymore. So this does have the potential to grow beyond just hospital patients.